Welcome. Today we're going to talk about money, myths, and misconceptions with Nikki, and she is from the Center of Financial Wellness at Aurora Family Service. Nikki, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. Just wanted to share a little bit about the Center for Financial Wellness and Aurora Family Service. We are a nonprofit organization within Aurora Healthcare. We've been around since 1972. I have also been working with Aurora since the 1900s also. So we work with individuals one-on-one on counseling, seminars, presentations. So hopefully today's presentation will be informational for you. I can't move slides. There we go. Today we're going to walk through several myths and misconceptions about that people have around credit, income, savings, and money in general. Spending plans really aren't necessary if you pay your bills. I'm not sure if you guys think that's a myth or truth. Everyone benefits from knowing where their money's going. The truth is that we can all benefit from the spending plan. Just to share a story, I worked with a couple that their combined salaries were over $300,000. And compared with their large incomes, they had very little in savings. So we took a deep look into their spending and we reviewed 3 months of their daily purchases. We were all shocked to discover that they were averaging about $6,500 a month on food and related purchases. This includes meals out, groceries, milk delivery. That was over 25% of their take-home pay. So we just all need to be monitoring our spending. How to do that is everyone can save something and make savings a part of your plan. I know I don't make enough, I don't have enough to save, but savings should really be treated as any other bill. Make it a priority, just like your cell phone bill or your rent. Do you have an automatic payment set up for your cell phone or utility bill? Why not automate your savings as well? When you automate your savings, it makes savings a mindless task. Remember to increase your savings every time you get that merit increase, because then you won't even miss it that way. A couple rules to remember as you create your plan. There's a 50-30-20 rule, 50 to needs, 30 to wants, 20 to savings, and debt. And don't forget about your windfall money for like tax returns and things like that. And then use the 80-20 rule, savings 80% and splurging with 20% of that. Everyone needs a treat now and then so that you don't feel the pain of savings. And let's be realistic, sometimes savings is painful. I have plenty of time to save for retirement, or I'm too old to save for retirement. That's really a myth. The earlier you start, the better, but saving at any time can allow you to benefit from the power of compound interest. The interest is based on your account balance, and as your balance grows, so does the amount of interest. Kick off, would you rather have the $1,000 or a 1 cent is a great example of compound interest in action. It's $1,000 a day for 1 month equals $30,000. But what if the amount you received was double each day? Well, you start out with mere pennies, but after 1 month of having your money doubled each day, you'd end up with $5,368. Interest isn't so generous these days, but you can find good interest savings or interest on your savings account if you look for it. Some banks give the lower interest rate. Some banks online that are not brick and mortar have a higher interest rate. But it still grows as long as you make regular deposits. Just remember, Warren Buffett earned over 90% of his wealth after he turned 65. And here's an example of the compound interest and how it works. Depending on your age, the interest, there's an example A and B, and then whether you wait 10 years or longer for 28 years, you can see the difference in how much you can save in that time. Making minimum payments is enough. It is, but paying the minimum on time means that you'll avoid late fees from your companies and it'll help you establish a positive repayment history. However, paying only the minimum, especially on high interest rates, will cost you a lot over time in your interest. Paying the minimum, provided you don't charge any more on the card, will result in years of payments and thousands of dollars in interest. Not sure if you've ever looked at your credit card statements, and it will show on there if you pay this amount, you'll be paid off in 5 years, or if you make the minimum payment, it'll be 30 years. Now, that's something that's sort of newer in the last 10 years. I've seen statements before they started doing something like this that it was taking somebody 30 years to pay off their credit card debt at the minimum payment due to the interest. So that's something to keep an eye on and look at it and think about how paying it just a little bit more will help you pay that off and avoid the interest. Here's some information on making the minimum payments is enough. Example A, credit cards 2000 with an 18% interest, 2% minimum payments, standard in the industry, $40 a month. It will take you 24 years and 1 month and cost you $4,000 in interest. If you double the payment, it will take you 2 years and 8 months at $500 in interest. And again, this is as long as you're not charging on it. The same rule can apply to lower interest rate rules, like your mortgage and car. If you have a $100,000 mortgage balance with a monthly payment of the $600, it'll cost you the $115,000 in interest. If you make additional payments of $100 or more, it will take you 21 years only. And I say only lightly because I compare the two and the savings in interest. Savings of $40,000 plus extra money in your pocket. Now, higher income equals more wealth, or stuff equals wealth. Income doesn't dictate wealth. Net worth is how wealth is calculated. To calculate your net worth, add all the value of everything you own, your bank accounts, retirement accounts, house value, car value, and etc., and subtract your debt, your credit card balances, mortgage balance, and etc. Remember, stuff depreciates and loses value over time. New cars lose the 30% of their value as soon as you drive them off the lot. Homes need to be repaired and updated. Remember, it's not what you make, but what you keep. Higher incomes tend to mean higher expenses with a bigger lifestyle, homes, cars, etc. Remember my $6,500 a month groceries? That couple had about $100,000 in savings. For people in their mid-40s with a combined income of that amount, that's very low for them. So it's just something to think about, that higher income does not mean more wealth. It's a reminder, if you're a partner and you combine your finances, you should still think about it. Even when one partner takes on the primary responsibilities for handling the finances, it's important that regular conversations occur to discuss the household finance, which includes the awareness of the budget and accounts and how to access financial records. Being on the same page is important to having the joint finances. When you're married and sharing a life with someone, it's important that you both understand those finances and agree with how you're savings and spending. One of my friends, and my mom handles all of the finances, but she also has all of her bills mailed to the house. She pays everything online, but keeps track of everything through a checkbook. Even though she pays things online, she says she does this so if something happens to her, my dad has a clear record of the bills. Creating this awareness is the key. We recently had a client reach out who was under extreme financial stress. Her partner of 15 years had spent all of their joint savings, maxed out their credit cards, and taken on new debt in their names, and she didn't know. So being aware of your own spending and your partner's spending is important. Checking in on your accounts, even if it's just to see where things are at, is also important. This spending and debt pattern didn't occur overnight. Just need to be a little bit more proactive in your finances and together finances just to be able to see those. If it costs more, it must be of better quality. Sometimes, but not always true. Restaurants versus a fast food or clothing. Food is really a great example. Many people aren't going to be able to tell the difference between organic products and those that aren't, but the cost difference is huge. Getting a burger at a fast food chain will probably cost one half or more than one from sitting down in a restaurant. Is the quality of the restaurant better? Probably. The meat and toppings may be fresher and the patty larger. Pasta and salads will cost you big at nicer restaurants. But are the noodles or lettuce any different from those you could buy for a fraction of the cost in the grocery store? Probably not. Clothing is the other example. Many argue that at higher prices equal better quality. This may be true of some of the time, based on the fabric, stitching, and etc. But often, you're paying more for the name or label than the quality. My friend went to high school in New York City as part of a marketing class, and they had a behind-the-scenes tour of the garment district. She still remembers, and she tells me about when the guide held up two plain white t-shirts. They were both produced in the same factory. And he said one would get the Fruit of the Loom tag, and the other one would be put in like a 3-pack for $10. The other would have a Calvin Klein label sewn in and sell for $20, and it was the same shirt. So even though it has a name brand, it may not be better quality. Owning a home is smarter than renting. Well, whether you buy or rent, you're not throwing away money for a necessity, which is keeping a roof over your head, unless you're living outside of your means. Owning a home comes with that huge list of additional expenses: taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, and repair. And depending on the market, you'll generally see a return if you can own the home for 3 to 5 years. Many see home ownership as a lifetime investment. While that's true, it's not guaranteed a moneymaker. My parents' home is a great example. 40 years ago, they bought it for $90,000 at 12% interest. Nowadays, with the changes, its current value is about $480,000. That sounds pretty impressive, right? The increase of value. But over the years, besides paying down their mortgage, and yes, they refinanced a few times, they have also spent the following towards the cost of owning the home: $160,000 in taxes, $40,000 in insurance, $20,000 in roofing, $100,000 in additions, $100,000 in renovations, and about $60,000 in estimated maintenance. Those costs alone add up to the $480,000. Remember, when you go to sell, the seller typically covers 100% of the realtor fees, which are 6% of the sale price, which I know is still continually changing. Buy now or pay later isn't debt. It's credit, not a way to pay. There's the new Affirm out there and many other ways where you buy now and you pay it off later. If you fail to make all 4 payments, which is typical time frame, can still wreak havoc on your credit. If you don't have the money to buy the item in full now, are you going to have it in the coming months? All debt is bad. Not necessarily. Using debt to create that life you can't afford will be a problem, and not all debt is created equal. Taking on debt to advance your life, such as student loans for your education, a car loan to get you to and from your job, or a business loan to create your dream, are all examples of good necessary debt. That same debt can become bad when you don't use it wisely. For example, taking student loans to get an education that you don't need or won't use, or to attend a private school, or out of state school that's going to cost more than one that's local for you. Buying a brand new car with a large monthly payment. And the new cars now, and the cost of new cars, I've seen some monthly payments are up to $700 a month. So and that's a long-term payment when a good used car for half the price would meet your needs. Maxing out your credit cards to buy the latest and greatest gear and stuff isn't good. Using a credit card to buy normal monthly purchases and pay it off each month to build a history so that you can get lower interest loans in the future is a good thing. Again, there's the key of paying it off each month. You may also be able to take advantage of rewards or point earning cards. Look at those that don't charge an annual fee and make sure they're rewards and point cards that you're going to use or understand what it's for. I have, because I'm from the Midwest and I was born in Chicago, I have a Bears card. And it gets me Bears shirts and things like that. So that's something that I'll use. I have a card that does points for flying. I don't completely understand it yet and how to use it. So even though I have that in an earning points, and at this time I like to drive everywhere. I'm not a big flyer yet. A few more years, kids will be older, I'm gonna be out all over. But I drive a lot more. So having that type of card isn't the best in my best interest. Plus the interest rates are not that great on those types of cards. Credit card debt is okay because everyone has it. You know what? Be weird. Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean you need to. Money is a taboo subject. It's quite possible the Joneses are trying to keep up with you and are up to their eyeballs in debt. Again, using the credit card isn't bad as long as you can pay it off each month and timely. Credit cards also offer the ability to earn points cash back that we discussed. And that could work if you're using that for things that you're already buying. And they provide additional protections from fraud that your bank card does not. Just remember, not everyone is carrying a balance on their credit card. And if you can't afford it now, are you going to be able to afford it a month from now? Here comes my whole Amazon thing. Sales equal deals. Not really. Only if you truly need it. Sometimes something that normally costs $1,000 but is on sale for $500 doesn't mean that you saved $500. You just spent $500. If you don't need it, even if it's on sale, it's not a deal. It's just an extra expense. In regards to credit reports and creating a good score, there are several myths that exist around credit reports and how to create the best score. And we're going to explore a few of these myths and uncover some truths. Good credit takes forever to create. Somewhat true. It can take 25 years to establish an excellent credit history, but history only makes 15% of your score. On-time payments create 35% of your score, and a pattern of good credit can be established with just 12 to 24 months of on-time payments. And I say this for those that may have younger adults at home and younger children that need to start establishing debt when they move out. This is something that I've helped my son with. He moved out when he was 18, couldn't find an apartment on his own because he had no credit. So I worked with him, put him on one of my cards as an authorized user, and helped him build up some credit so that he would have some type of history. Having multiple cards is necessary. No, new credit only makes up to 10% of your score. It's false to think many credit cards can build credit history faster. You can build history with just one card. Opening multiple cards to create new credit can backfire. The more cards you have, the greater the potential for debt. New credit only makes up 10% of your score. And the hard pulls, which is when the credit card company looks at your credit report, that's called a hard pull. and it shows on your credit report, and it immediately dips your score because it looks like you're shopping around for credit. And it doesn't matter if you have one that you're looking at or two, it does affect your score. It could be up to 10 to 20%. Balances must be carried. You don't need to carry a balance. Paying on time is the key. If you spend $1 a month and pay it off on time, you'll create the same positive payment history as if you spent $1,000 a month. Utilization of your cards has a big effect on your score. It accounts for 30% of your score. If your credit limit is low, but your balance is high, or if you have multiple forms of credit and you're carrying balances on all of them, this can affect your score in a negative way. The higher your balance and the more debt you have, the more risk your future lenders look at you. It may indicate you're overextended. Keep your balances at 30% or less than your limit, and don't create more debt trying to create better credit. Here we're going back to all savings accounts are created equal. There's many types that serve different purposes. Multiple savings accounts exist and they all have a different purpose. Bank savings accounts are good for accumulating funds for that annual expense or your emergency funds. Online banks also have high interest mutual funds or CDs, which may be better for big goal expenses such as college or a home down payment. Retirement accounts are meant to build your wealth for you in your retirement years. Saving too much in one type of account could hurt you. If you save everything in a basic savings account, you'll miss out on the power of interest and growth. On the flip side, if you save everything in your retirement account, you'll face penalties and lost interest should you have an emergency that requires you to pull funds. I do know there's a big difference in online bank accounts to brick and mortar banks. I have found some online accounts that are FDIC, federally deposit insured banks, that the interest rates are over 4%. But then the credit union or bank are paying you 0.75 or 1% on your savings. Look around to make sure that you've got it in a savings account that's going to grow and help create more interest. Get that what you can. Credit cards are for emergencies. That's another yes and no. They may help to cover an immediate need. For example, you break down on the side of the road and need to pay for a tow truck to get you to a garage. Having a credit card to pay for this emergency is necessary, but the card should not be your emergency plan. You should still have the money in the bank to cover the credit card bill. Other emergencies cannot be easily covered with a credit card. Think about covering your rent or mortgage if you lose your job. You can't easily put that on your credit card. That's where you should look at and start creating your emergency savings. And that's for your emergencies. You need to be rich to invest. This is always my favorite one. That's not true. Online investment platforms such as E-Trade and such offer the ability to invest with minimal deposits. The dollar cost averaging allow you to buy fractional shares of stocks. Just be sure to build your emergency fund first. Investing comes with a risk. And then we have the employer retirement plans are another investment opportunity. Our retirement plans here in the Midwest, they have a customization, personalized information for our savings, and they work with you to help you navigate the markets as your life changes. And if you prefer to continue managing your own strategy, within that plan, it allows you to do that where you adjust that. And I believe you can do that every 3 months. And just to remember that many employers offer a company match to your retirement savings. So be sure to take advantage of that. Here's another example of cooking at home. I am not a great chef. As the kids get older and I have more time, I'm learning better. But this is a breakdown of a typical hamburger. Granted, the ingredients will cost more initially. You can't just buy one slice of tomato or a dollop of ketchup, but think of all the hamburgers you'll be able to make with your initial grocery investment. Even McDonald's will cost you at least twice of the home price, and the quality won't be as good. Don't forget the additional cost for drinks and sides that you'll pay for eating out as well. And this is a great example of what it cost you at home and what it cost at the restaurant. And another great example is pizza. $40 for a large pizza with 4 drinks, carry out $20, frozen pizza 8. So that's just something to think about. And I think I'm on time. Woo! So, one of the things to remember about the myths is, for one, not everything online you see is true. Remember, there's many celebrities that got caught up and lost their investments because they weren't um, doing more research into what they were doing, and then they were sharing that with everybody. And then what happened is then everybody else lost their money. So that was the Bitcoin. I know it's still out there, and it could be big for some, and it's not for other. But there's great losses out there. So that's just something to think about on your journey for, I think it's building wealth and savings and your retirement years.
Well, Nikki, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. We really appreciate all of your information and your time.